Mr. Cooper, I want to start with you. The Commerce is one of the 4 agencies that's responsible for 86%, 87% of the savings in closing down the data centers. How are you able to use that money that you save?
Okay, we have an internal process that is set up as we realize savings. We have a prioritized bureau-specific list of priorities. The bureaus bring forward, through our investment review process, their savings dollars redirected against that prioritized list. So it comes through the bureau investment review process up to the department review process. That way we have...
So, Mr. Cooper, I'm going to interrupt there.
Please.
Are you able, if you realize savings in your operations, you should be able to use that savings also to go after some of the other projects of legacy systems that are in your, that you have already identified. Are you able to do that?
Yes. Yeah, I was going into a little bit of detail on how we do that. The answer is yes. We have a process. We actually do, both at the department level and at the bureau level, redirect that savings. It's redirected based upon the priorities of new investments or risk-based issues that need to be addressed at the bureau level and the department level.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Ms. Nguyen, 10 months at NASA, correct? 2 months in the CIO job?
I was 2 months as the deputy CIO and then promoted to the CIO of the last 8 months.
Got you. So are we going to be able to get to Mars if we're still using Fortran?
Thank you for your question, Chairman. At this point, I am not an expert on what it's going to take to get to Mars, but happy to take the question for the record and add the question about programming language as well.
Please do. And my question for you is, so you've come in and inherited a situation, right? And we recognize that. What additional responsibilities or authorities would you like to have in order to right this ship?
Chairman, thank you for the recognition to the newness. It is much appreciated. On March 31st, the agency approved our transformation plan. It's about 219 pages that gives me a lot of authority that is aligned with the FITARA law, as well as some things that NASA saw needed to change. And so at this juncture, with changing our governance structure, changing the way we take a look at the budget, as well as taking a look at how we do portfolio review. At this juncture, that feels like it's going to be an excellent start for me at NASA.
When did the CIO report directly to the administrator? When did that change happen?
It's my understanding that that started about 2 years ago.
And when it comes to incremental development on your scorecard, there was no data on this. Is that because there is no IT projects in the works, or is it because we don't know which IT projects are in the works?
Chairman, the lack of incremental spending is due to, I believe, a couple of things. One is in my open testimony, I emphasized the ability of the CIO to look at specialized and non-specialized IT. The non-specialized IT is our mission IT, where a lot of development work is on a regular, ongoing basis. I've recently been given the authority to begin to look and make more transparent what goes on there. That is where a lot of our development happens, and that's where I'm expecting to be able to say to you, yes, that we are doing incremental.
In the next review cycle, what should we expect from NASA?
At this juncture, in discovering this in preparation for the hearing, this is what I expect to be able to deliver to you. One is information on how much we've actually saved in closing our data centers. To be able to say to you that we have a good plan for a modified portfolio review process that includes the infrastructure IT as well as our mission IT, and then finally be able to report to you where we've actually driven a lot of savings in our software management.
I think that would be pretty successful. Mr. Johnson, why do the 14 or 17 national labs, why do they need an exemption from FTARA?
So thank you for the question, Chairman. So as you know, DOE does not have a position on the legislation which exempted the national labs from FTARA implementation. However, we have been working closely with the national labs over the 1 year that I have, just over 1 year that I've been the CIO within DOE. And through a collaborative process which included not only the program offices and the national labs, we are putting in place a number of what we call transparency reforms that get to an effective management of our IT and cyber workforce and information across our entire enterprise to include our national labs.
Because in my opinion, the national labs are probably some of the most important things to protect, and they are probably the biggest target when you look at nation sponsors that are looking at cutting edge technology, and not adhering to some of what I would consider some very basic standards for good digital hygiene, to me, does not make sense. And this is an area where, my expectation is that these national labs have some greater transparency on what they're doing, how they're doing it, and ensuring that they're not using Fortran and, systems that are super old and outdated. And I think as we go forward and have new laws and go through appropriations, some of those things may change. Ms. Leaf, what took so long to get the implementation plan approved?
So thank you for the question. The department leadership felt that it was very important that we complete due diligence in understanding the relationship of FTARA with the Confidential Information Protection and Statistical Efficiency Act, or CIPSE. So the department reviewed that internally. They requested guidance from OMB, which we received, and when we received it, we incorporated it and finished our plan.
Ms. Leaf, thank you very much. I'd now like to recognize my colleague, Ms. Kelly, for 5 minutes of questioning.